Hi, this is Shane Bryan from the Bad Boys Podcast. While the Bad Boys Podcast is on a break, I decided to launch a brand new show featuring interviews with some amazing guests that we've had, as well as new interviews that I've done on my radio show on LAFM. I've had so many interviews that I've done and so many more planned now. The show is called A Long Way to the Top, and if you'd like to hear more, then search for Long Way to the Top on the platform that you're listening to right now. Enjoy this special Bad Boys presentation of Long Way to the Top. This is Long Way to the Top, and I'm your host, Shane Bryan. In the words of the immortal AC/DC, it is harder than it looks. These interviews will give you a glimpse into the lives of the artists that we've sung along with, danced and rocked out to. Some go deep into their past and others celebrate their recent releases. But all of them show that regardless of who you are, it's always a long way to the top. Our special guest on Long Way to the Top today, the Psychedelic Furs, established by brothers Richard and Tim Butler. 8 albums, a huge album in 1981 called Talk, Talk, Talk. 2 massive singles, Love My Way and Pretty in Pink, and they are heading to Australia in April for the Pandemonium Rocks Festival. You can find out all the ticket details on pandemonium.rocks. Tim Butler, the bass player from Psychedelic Furs, is our special guest on today's Long Way to the Top. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Shane. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for joining me on the show today.
No problem.
A massive festival that you guys are embarking on very soon, and that is, of course, Pandemonium Rocks.
Yeah, and that's great. I'm looking forward to seeing Alice Cooper.
Yeah, isn't he a sensational
I'm a
still?
big fan of Alice Cooper.
Yeah. Now, I want to go back to, I guess, when you first came out, and it was your second album, 1981, an album called Talk, 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 and that was kind of what really set you on the path, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we'd slogged our way around on our first album. We'd slogged our way around America against CBS's wishes, because they said, don't come over. It's not the country's not ready for you. So we did, and we got a foot on the rung of college radio, which was huge over here at the time. And then when it came to Talk, 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 it just made a natural progression from the groundwork we'd done.
Well, the song, of course, the big single, Love My Way, it was really talking about or like questioning our sexuality back then, which was a big thing in 1986. I mean, it's totally acceptable today. I mean, did you see the theme of the song as a big risk at the time?
I didn't. I don't know whether Richard did when he was writing the lyrics, but I don't think so. It's just the way he thought about love being as you want. If you're not harming anybody,
yeah,
it's not anything to do with it's one person's choice, not the whole society. As long as you're not hurting anybody, be happy.
Yes, exactly. And of course, it was a huge hit. Music video on MTV was put into high rotation. What do you think it was about the song that really struck a chord with listeners?
I think from initial listening, it's the marimba, which is a very underused rock and roll instrument.
Yeah.
But if you listen to it, it's a very, very sparse song and very marimba dominated, which I'm surprised that it did so well, because of the of using an instrument. Probably like 80% of the people who saw the video probably didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah, and it was such a unique sound, wasn't it? It really set you guys apart.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think having a sax player did as well. I don't think in the 80s there was that many sax players in bands.
No, and of course, we should also mention that Mars Williams passed away last year, with the saxophonist. That was so sad.
Yeah, I mean, he'd got his cancer diagnosis, and his doctor had said to him, we're out of things to do
Mm.
for you. And he was saying, should I go on this tour, in case something comes up? He said, no, you can go out on this tour. Just go out and, have fun.
Mm.
And on the tour, you could see he was getting weaker and weaker and sicker. And I guess at the last show in Las Vegas, he called us all into he had his own dressing room because he was so cold all the time that he had to have a room that was really hot with heaters, blow heaters and stuff.
Yeah.
Called us all into the room and said, I love you guys. Hopefully I'll see you at the Darker Waves Festival.
Yeah.
And he was so sick he didn't come out to that. And a couple of days after we did that, we heard that he had passed away, which is a big blow to her because he's like a family member.
Yeah.
And it's
so sad.
It's been hard. We're getting in Richard Fortis, who played with Love Spit Love, and he's played with the Furs before, but he's going to do the shows with us. So it should be a more of a guitar orientated rock and roll sort of set that we play.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, I want to ask, Psychedelic Furs, where did the name actually come from?
It came as to get back at, around about the time we started, punk was huge.
Yeah.
And there was all these bands, names like the Sex Pistols and Venus and the Razor Blades and the Clash and the Stranglers. And they'd all put down psychedelic music. And we liked, a lot of our influences was, psychedelic bands like the first Frank Zappa album and the Velvet Underground. And we liked bands like the Stooges and Roxy Music, which was sort of looked down on. And we just wanted a name that would stand out on gig listings. People would look at, Psychedelic Furs and think, what the hell? What's all this about? I've got to go and check it out.
Yes.
And it worked.
It did work. It totally worked. Yeah. And it definitely separated you from the punk rockers.
Yeah. I mean, that was the whole thing. Because I think we decided to form a band, Richard and I, after seeing the Sex Pistols at the 100 Club. And our sort of sound is like a cross between Roxy Music and the Velvet Underground with the energy and anger of the Sex Pistols.
Yeah. I think your music is really, listening to songs like Love My Way and Pretty in Pink, it really was the definition of 80s music, especially that new wave music. And in my opinion, it's the go-to when you're listening to that period.
Oh, thank you. You start something hoping,
yes,
you'll get listeners, but you never dream, was 40 years later or 30 years later that you'll have made that much impact, that bands will be citing you as influences, and you'll still get, large audiences down to see you. It just makes it all worthwhile. I'm very proud of what you've done.
Now, of course, Pretty in Pink wasn't just used in a 1986 John Hughes movie. They took the name and used it for the movie as well.
Yeah, and the story is nothing to do with the song.
Well, look, let's not get the facts in the way of a good story, though.
It's not to do with a girl making a pink dress for prom, I'll tell you that.
Now, just finally, Stranger Things, I think we should sort of mention that because, one of your songs, Ghost of You, was put in one of the seasons of Stranger Things. Has shows like that really helped with bringing about an 80s revival for bands like yourself?
Yeah, and especially the song you were talking about, Love My Way, was all over Call Me By My Name.
Yeah. Yeah.
That movie.
Yes.
It was in that, and they actually at one point they actually have a scene where there's some young kids or youngsters talking about going to see a Psychedelic Furs concert.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
yeah, that sort of thing was out of the blue, but it was great.
Yeah. And I think all of these shows really, I mean, they're leaning on the 80s music because it really was such a unique and timeless period.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to nowadays a lot of bands sounding like 80s bands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it went to, I guess when grunge came in, the 80s was looked down on and, criticised. But I think there's more influential bands from the 80s than there are from the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree.
If you look at Depeche Mode, The Cure, U2, Us, In Excess, I can only think of like two from the 90s. I can't even think off the top of my head. Pearl Jam and Nirvana.
Yeah, that's it, right? Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Now, just finally, what music are you listening to at the moment? I always like to ask this question.
Pearl Jam and Nirvana.
Good answer.
A band called Ghost.
Ghost, yes. Yeah, they're actually making a lot of impact, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, I went to see them. I'm so surprised. I went to see them at Cincinnati, and I was blown away. It's like the third best show I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And their records and stuff, I can't get them off my stereo, especially the last one.
Yeah.
They're going to be, they already are big, but I think they're going to be huge.
They're going to be even bigger, yeah. No, and I'm a little late to the party on that one, but since listening to them, yeah, I'm a fan as well.
I think what it is that their music includes so much sort of influences. You can go to, say, from like the 70s, you can say, oh, I hear a bit of that band or a bit of this band. And it's all stuff that latches into your brain, and you can't forget it. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I'm mindful of the time, so Tim Butler, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you when we get there.
Oh, it's going to be a sensational festival, and we absolutely can't wait.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Tim.
Bye.
All right, bye. That was Tim Butler, bass player for the Psychedelic Furs. And don't forget, if you want all the information on Pandemonium Rocks, you can head over to the website, pandemonium.rocks, and all the dates are there. It's going to be a sensational concert. Hit plus or follow to subscribe to the podcast, and head over to Facebook at The Long Way to the Top Podcast and give us a like. Keep on rocking, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Long Way to the Top.